while we're on the same kind of train of thought, then what are your thoughts on New York City's mayor? You know the guy who owns New York. You know, Trey Young. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Think RBA podcast. As always, it's your boy, Mr. Chico. And as always, by my boy, Mr. Okada. Sir,
Okada. What's going on? Sir, how you doing, brother? Good, man.
I'm doing awesome because we got the most distinguished guest today. My brother from another mother. Going on a long, oh my gosh, we met, almost 20 years ago, bro. 20 years ago. Just about 20 years ago.
Yep.
This is a big day for me, too. You know why? Because I've been hearing so much about this man. And today I can ask him those questions.
We got so many questions. But since we go on the nicknames, there's been a long-standing nickname, so we're not going to call him just Jay. He is Jay from BK.
Jay from BK,
Jay
I like
BK.
It is I.
Jay from BK, what is going on, bro?
And BK is what? It's not Burger King, obviously.
It's not Burger King. You get that a lot on Xbox. It's Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yes.
Brooklyn
so that's where I want to start off. Jay from BK, obviously, as you said, stands for Brooklyn. And I want to know, as you were coming up in your youth in the BK, what was the Brooklyn ball scene like for you growing up? And when did you really get into ball?
That's a good question. It's kind of like, I think I started playing ball like around maybe 8 or 9. So I lived in a neighborhood called Kensington at the time, which is like a really nice neighborhood. It's like next to like Park Slope and but it borders Flatbush. So my block was pretty cool. Most of the kids were around my age. And what happens is we lived in we call it a single family, but people call it a duplex. And my landlord was really nice, and she allowed us to like have one of those standalone basketball hoops where you can put like bricks or water and like put them like right in front of your house. And so like all my friends would always I would wake up to the ball bounce, and like I would know somebody's downstairs on the hoop. So then we started to play in the block, and then after that it would be like going to like the local parks and just run. We used to go to the park. I think we would call it like Fort Hamilton, but it's like PS 130 Park is like the elementary school I went to school at, so we would go there a lot. So that's kind of like my earliest memories of just. We had no nets, so that was like a thing, like no nets, double rims.
Hey, that's New York, man.
Yeah,
that's New York.
Yep, double rims, no nets. So like when I got in Dallas, I was like, this nets out here, like no chain, like there's chain nets in like Manhattan and stuff like that, but in Brooklyn there's just no nets. So got used to it. Anytime you had a net, it'd be taken down within a week. Trust me. Easy. So yeah, but that's me playing and then like watching. Man, I always remember just seeing the Knicks get killed by the Bulls in the playoffs. Like, I can remember vividly. My dad had the double nickel game taped. Like, we had the double nickel 5-5 on the VHS. Like, the little split that you can put. Just a double nickel. I remember Starks was my favorite player, and I just remember him playing Jordan, and he would just get killed. I'm like, he's playing excellent defense, but man, you could do it. So that was my early bringing up with basketball right there.
So that was the pre-Atlanta Hawks before the current Atlanta Hawks.
Absolutely, they were the first. We were one of the first teams to just get punished year after year. MJ was pulling to us what LeBron pulled to them. This is exactly what it was. It wasn't going nowhere where MJ was around. Absolutely nowhere.
So what was the feeling like in New York when MJ took that hiatus?
We got a chance. We got a chance. And that's what happened. What was it, 94 when we went to the finals? That was 94, right? The year after.
I think, I believe so. Against Houston, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a chance, and then I mean, we didn't really have a chance, but we did have a chance. I mean, the dream was just destroying you and
Well,
destroying. I
well, well,
mean,
well, 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 to be fair, though, right? To be fair,
mhm.
John Starks had probably one of the worst games of his career at the worst time possible, right? Had he not
we,
had that,
we had
just to be
we
fair.
had yeah, we had that, and I believe wasn't that the same series that you and Singero? Was that the same series too? Where
Yeah, I
you
think
and
so.
yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah, but Starks was like 2 for 18 that game, right? I
Yeah, it
believe
was
something
something
crazy.
crazy like that.
So yeah, it was bad. Yeah, and like John Starks is the reason I wear number 3. That's my favorite number. That was my favorite player. I mean, I love John Starks. Like, he was the man. And then I just saw that and I was like, Lord have mercy.
Yeah,
We're just never gonna win.
John Starks was New York, man. That
He
man was New
was.
York because I was living in
Yeah.
Jersey at the time, and I remember like
hmm
everyone was loving this man, and he wasn't
Yeah.
even from New York,
He
which is
wasn't even from New
crazy.
York. Yeah. I think it was like I
He's from
forgot where he.
Oklahoma,
Yeah. I was about to say like someone that. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, he embodied what New York was about. He played with
right?
heart. He played
Right.
with toughness, tenacity. When he got hot, he got the crowd into it. I mean, yeah, he was a baller. He was definitely a baller. And
Can I ask him a question
sure.
about like New York, that scene, right? Because that was the scene when you were growing up. That was a big
hmm
time of like Notorious B.I.G. was coming out, right? He
hmm
was big. His music was popping.
hmm
Like what was like, and there was a lot of mesh with basketball and like the Knicks. So what was your, and you being in Brooklyn, right? Notorious B.I.G.'s from Brooklyn.
hmm
What was the scene like in Brooklyn at that point when Biggie was kind of like in his heyday?
It was it's kind of weird because I was so young. So I think Biggie
Okay.
died in '97. Like I was
Yeah.
just 11, but I remember like so a lot of my music selection kind of comes from like my stepdad and like my uncle. Like my uncle was he wasn't a DJ, but he used to have turntables in the house. So the straight, like, how people just call like the '90s beats like more like boom bap. Like that's really what I
Yeah.
heard like in like, cause my uncle used to live with my dad at one point in time. So you would just hear like classic '90s like just beats like, oh, you hear boom boom boom
Mm-hmm.
boom. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you just hear it, and then like that's when I heard like Mobb Deep. Nas is not my favorite rapper like ever. So, and he's not from Brooklyn; he's from Queens. I know
Yeah.
it's like
It's my favorite
but
rapper too.
yeah, okay. Listen, brothers already. That's my favorite rapper
Yeah.
of all time. I think he's the GOAT. We can always have that debate, but I remember around that time when like around like when Juicy came out, that was crazy. Notorious
Ready to
came like
Die.
that, Ready to Die, Life After Death, like all of that was crazy. And then like Jay-Z was coming out at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Foxy Brown was big at that time. A funny story, my mom used to work school. My mom and my stepdad, they used to work school safety. And pretty much what that was is like they would have like security officers in high schools, New York City high school. So
Right.
my mom used to work at Lincoln. So she actually met Stephon Marbury. She knew him kind of like, not personally like, oh, I know him, like we can like hang out or something like that. But she knew him like a lot. Like it was like go to class, Stephon, like that type of relationship. But she
Okay.
knew him. But I also got to meet Foxy Brown, whose real name is Inga,
Oh.
and I met her in Brooklyn. Like she was just like passing by. This was before she blew up and everything like that. So, but
Okay.
yeah, like New York the rap scene was just on fire. I mean,
Oh
because
yeah.
you didn't just hear Brooklyn rappers in New York. That's the one place. Like how like outside of New York they say like at that time, well then maybe now like you don't hear it outside of New York rap like down south, or like in the city you hear everybody. You hear Wu-Tang, you hear
Right.
like everybody because everything is either Hot 97, Power 105. So it's kind of
Right.
different.
Yeah. Hot 97, Busta Rhymes, Jadakiss, all that. That was whole.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like the
Okay.
Lox is huge. Mace,
Right.
Cam, huge. Like Puffy
Right.
was like everybody was just. It was an onslaught of like. I honestly thought New York was just that was all the music in the world at
Yeah.
the
It's the
time. Like I
Mecca.
was
It's the
so
Mecca
young.
of
I didn't.
music.
I honestly I tell this story and it's kind of funny. I didn't really realize other like rappers until I got to Del State and like
Mm.
listen to Philly people from Philly. I did not know. '04 was a crazy year for rap, and we could get on this topic too. That was the first time I ever heard Benny Siegel, Young Guns, all these guys from State Property. I didn't even know these guys existed until one day I was walking in the dorm and somebody had Tough Love on, which is the Young Guns album. And all of a sudden I just heard I heard Petey Crack for the first time and I said, yo, who is this? This is crazy. Like, he was nice. And I'm like, I just never heard these guys. Like, when you're in New York, that's kind of like all you just know is like, that's it. And then like you got your Clue tapes, you got your funk tapes. Like that's all you really know. So you're like kind of like, you don't even know that people outside of New York are this nice too. You just know.
Right. Yeah, back in the day, it was East Coast and West Coast. It was New York and then Cali.
And New York was the East Coast. That's exactly right. And I wasn't really a big Pac fan at the time. I knew Pac. I knew he's nice, but I wasn't from the West Coast, so it didn't hit me like that. So.
Right. I think a new favorite quote just emerged from this. Go to this class, Stephon. I might find some ways to use that. Go to class, Stephon.
My mom definitely told that man to go to class.
That is so awesome.
No, that's dope, man. You have them Coney Island connections. I like it.
Yeah, okay. Funny story. My cousin Kenny's the coach of the Real Splitters for football, but I don't know if they call it the Real Splitters. But the Lincoln High School football team, he's the coach. My cousin. So he's been the coach for he's been a coach for like a good while. Yeah, my coach Kenny. He's like my mom's age, but like he's been a coach for a long time. I don't know if they're the Real Splitters though. I know the basketball team is, but I don't know about the football team.
Were you around Brooklyn at the time when, or at least New York at the time when He Got Game was coming, or was out or coming out, or
what was that? 99?
I think it was late 90s.
Yeah, I think that was in 98 or 99. So yeah, I only, and I always say, what's funny, but what's funny? Money Train had came out when we were down south, and I remember that was supposed to be filmed in New York, like based around New York. And I was like, dang, I miss home because it's like they had like a lot of depictions of like the subway and everything like that. It was like a big movie at the time, I think. But I think when we came back, yeah, He Got Game. I think we were there for that, and I think I did see that at the time. That would be really good. Spike Lee was that's another New York legend. So yeah,
Gee, the Shuttlesworth, all that. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you played with your friends. Did you play at school at all?
No, I didn't play at school at all. Went to kind of like a newer junior high school, so I didn't have a basketball team established in my junior high school. And then my high school, there wasn't no sports at my high school. I went to Edward R. Murrow. It's a broadcasting school. So it was like in Brooklyn, it's like an area, it's called Midwood, and it's like 3 central schools. And that area is Midwood, Madison, and Murrow. And Murrow's the only team with no sports at all. It's like a chess, like it was like a broadcasting school, but they only had like chess teams. So like we didn't have any sports. So I didn't get to try it or nothing.
That's like the same with me in football, because I went to a high school that didn't have a football team. They had every other sport that you could think of, from
Did you want to play
basketball
football?
to soccer to field hockey. I think I would have gotten back. I got out of it, but I think I would have gotten back into it had we had a team, but just never did.
Yeah,
we had field hockey, but no football.
And I was like
what are we doing here? So we're gonna do a little something fun later about eras. So thinking back to the Knicks, what is your favorite and least favorite Knicks era?
That's a good question. Wow.
It's a tough one. It's been a lot of least.
Tough question. Yeah. I mean, wow. I think, man, I wish I had my computer listed in front of me. I think my favorite might still be the 90s Knicks. I think like the Chris Childs, Charlie Ward, the Starks, the Mason, Hubert Davis, like that group, Oakley,
Charles Oakley.
Yeah, that going into the late 90s with H2O and Spreewell, like I think that like 90s group was like my favorite, because like we had H2O and Spreewell. Even though I didn't think we really beat the Spurs, I thought we had a chance. Like when Alec used to hit that shot against Miami, I was like, we could do something. So I think that's like my favorite still. I think my least favorite was after Melo left and we're just terrible. I think that's like the last 6 to 7, 8 years after Melo left was just like horrific. I think that's probably like, yeah.
Were
Even
those the
during,
Isaiah Thomas years?
yeah, I think so. I'm trying to remember
First, a
correctly.
few of
And I
them.
think, exactly. And I think part of Melo still there when Jeremy Lin went on his run and then Melo came back. Because remember, Melo was hurt and then he came back and
Right.
they couldn't mesh. So like
Right.
that time to like after he left was just terrible. And
Well, so you brought it up now. What were your thoughts here? How did you feel when insanity was going on?
I loved it. And I had the same thought as everybody else did. What is going to happen when Melo came back? That's exactly what I thought. Thought the same exact thing. And to piggyback off of your question of the worst era, I wish I was thinking about this question before you asked me, because some of the silly things that the Knicks just do, and you might remember too, we traded, it was one or two players and signed them back, got them back and signed them for a higher contract than what we had them originally for. We drafted the players and then traded them away and then brought them back and re-signed them. I'm trying to think of who these players are. I want to say Tim Hardaway Jr. was one of them, but I don't think we got him back. It's two people that I'm thinking of. It's like we got him back, and we had him originally. We drafted him, and we had him for cheaper, and we got him back again, and we paid him more money to keep him. I'm gonna have to look it up, but yeah,
Typical
that
Knicks.
post
Business,
Melo
right?
was terrible. Yeah, Nick business,
Dolan business.
Dolan business.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. How do you feel about the Knicks always hosting greatness for other players? Like LeBron had a career game there. Kobe had a career game there. Steph had one of his coming out party, at MSG.
Yeah, the 54.
What is a Knicks fan? Because I can't relate, right? Like Ken said, I don't know how to relate to any of those heartaches. What does that feel like as a fan watching your team constantly hosting? Like ATO hosted Luka 73. Similar to
so, bro, this man finds any way possible. So look, just for the record, because we were talking about this off camera, he has no fandom, so he makes sure that he's untouchable. Nobody's gonna say nothing to me because I got no fandom, but I'm gonna come at you every chance I can get. He gonna bring it up. Okay,
that's fine, bro. I'm a fan of players, but back to our scheme, guys.
I mean, I think it's because it's New York. So even if it wasn't the Knicks, it would still be a hosting party because it's New York. It's just kind of like when the players go to the Rucker and they just want to show out. It's kind of like the same thing. It's like just where they are. It's kind of like when people play at the Staples Center and everybody's like the Stars are out. Like it's kind of like the same thing.
Okay.
The only thing is, to your point, we have been the butt of the joke when people do come out, because at least at the Staples Center, they've always had a star to combat that. So like people want to go off, but like Kobe was there, LeBron is here now, like AD's here. So like it wasn't just somebody coming through and like that's it. Like there's nobody that'll really stop the show. In New York, it's like, oh my gosh, like everybody's just lit us up, and it just becomes embarrassing because you know it's coming. Like now you just know it's coming. Like it's not even like it's expected for some. Like Jalen's nice, but it's still going to happen to us, and it's been happening for decades. So it is kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, it is like it's good to know that people still regard New York as a place to play. That's a good thing,
right.
But I don't know. It's a bad feeling because people are coming to drop 40 every time they want to come to the Garden. They want to drop 40 and point at Spike Lee. That's what they want to do.
It's just part of like the check block that you need to have to be in the Hall of Fame. Like you just got to go to the Garden, drop 40 plus, and point at Spike Lee.
And point at Spike Lee.
So while we're on the same kind of train of thought, then what are your thoughts on New York City's mayor? The guy who owns New York, Trae Young. Because it seems to me that every sporting event that I see, Yankees games, there would be concert. I think I saw it at a concert. It was like, I don't know if it was a Taylor Swift concert or some other concert. And they were even chanting it after, as we're recording this, they just won, what was it, yesterday? Against the Sixers? And the fans were chanting it after the game. Fuck Trae Young. Fuck Trae Young. Like
That's
it's been like
hilarious,
3 years after.
Yeah.
So that man owns New York City at this point. Free real estate. So how do you feel about that?
I don't feel good about that neither. I mean, I'll put it to you like this. I feel better that he's out of the playoffs and we're in it, but I don't feel good about that though. I don't feel good. I think that I think Trey's a really good player, and I will give it to him. He's a big time performer. Like he's a big time performer. Even like was it last year that he hit the shot over Jalen Brunson against the Celtics, and he hit that big shot. I was like, yeah, that's crazy that they even won a game. Like they shouldn't have won anything against the Celtics last year. So like, I think they won 2 games last year, but yeah, he's a big time player. So I like Trey. I don't want him to come back to the. I mean, he can come back now. I mean. Jalen's here, so like I don't really see Trey doing too much, but you know he can come back now. I think Jalen right now he's got the juice right now, so Trey can come back now. I don't know, but I don't like how Trey did it like that.
Bro, it is so crazy because I personally can't think of a time where somebody has gotten so much hate that for years and years at events that have nothing to do with basketball, those chants still happen. Like,
that is insane when you think about it.
Sure, it's insane, but it's still fun. It's still fun to talk about. So,
that's true.
All right, so let's shift because you have a secondary fandom, right?
Mm-hmm. I definitely do.
And you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
It's kind of somewhat my primary fandom sometimes because I can't lie. I follow the Warriors more. It's more so. I think what it is for me. I've always been a favorite player first before my hometown team. It's kind of been like that most of the time. Like I'll put it to you like this. My first favorite player was on the Knicks. That was John Starks. So then after that, I didn't really have a favorite player for a while until AI showed up. And when AI took over, it became Kobe. And then after Kobe just went to Steph. So that's kind of like how it went to me. But yeah, I love the Warriors. Love Steph. I don't know. I don't think that they're done. I just think that the 2022 championship that kind of did them. I can't say did them more harm than good because they won a championship, but that was like fool's gold because they never retooled. Like they never got a big because I was like, oh, we won 2 years ago, so like we didn't really have. But they really should have got a big, and you saw that in the Kings series. Like I was watching that, and like literally, I don't really remember the rebounding disparity, but like the Kings got so many offensive rebounds. It's really why they won the game. Like if you watch the game, like there was like times when they had momentum and they played good defense for like 22 seconds and then they got an offensive rebound. The Kings got the reset and they got another basket. So then after that, it was like that just killed all the momentum that Golden State had. Like no transition points. They always dealt with the Kings setting up their defense. Like there was nothing that they could break away from. So I would love to see Steph, Clay, and Draymond again. But I mean, that's me. I think I would love to see that. How about you, Ken? I see you shaking your head.
Well, so and the reason why I'm making that face is because I don't know if you saw what was trending after that game, but you know, X, Twitter, formerly Twitter, has like an AI feature to it. Mm-hmm. And because of all the comments that were being made, it created what it thought was a real article about Klay Thompson having put up so many bricks that he robbed the city using bricks. Oh, it's so funny. Like, you got to go out and read it.
I got to watch it.
That's how terrible he was. Like, that's how terrible he was in that series.
He was.
So I have a question. I think that Hak has a similar question. Mm-hmm. It's twofold with you want them to come back together, but is Klay washed, number one, and number two, is Steph done with Draymond?
This is good questions. I don't think Klay is washed, but I don't think I would rather see Klay off the bench. Me personally, I think that worked. If Klay can play off the bench and still give you like really solid minutes, like 28 to 28 minutes a game, 25, 28 minutes a game. And he's not like he doesn't have to close every game because the thing with Clay is I don't know how much Warrior basketball you've watched this year, but like Clay gets into this thing where like he just takes terrible shots. I mean, like they're just like so bad. I don't even know what he's thinking. Like I don't know why he's doing it. Like I'm not trying to be funny. Like he just takes like the craziest leaners. Like he'll just get into like the pocket of the defense and just take like a leaner, like falling away. Like I'm like, why are you taking that? You can get such a better shot. Or like a 3-on-1 and he's the one and he'll just pull it up. I'm like why are you doing that? So I think that I would love to see Clay. I just want to see him in a lesser role. He can come off the bench. He can still get his minutes, but he doesn't have to close every game. He doesn't have to be the second threat on offense, you know. But I would love to see him back. I don't think Steph is done with Draymond. I do think he's done with Draymond's antics. I don't think he's done as Draymond as like a brother to him. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think. Because like I think that he still wants to play with him. I think they want to finish this thing out, honestly. But I do think that a lot of his antics got to Steph this year because it's like, bro, like you've already missed, like you had a 16-game suspension or whatever it was. You're just doing so many things to just keep yourself off the floor. And we're already like, I think they were like, they had the most clutch games this year and they lost the most clutch games this year. I know they had the most. I don't know if they lost the most, but at least the first or second most clutch games. And so many games were like so winnable. Like they lost 2 against the Thunder. I could not believe they lost. Like one Draymond fouled Chet on a 3, which like made no sense. Like they lost the Joker 3 at the end of the game when he just heaved it up from like 40 feet. Like I remember these. Like I was watching the games. I was like, I cannot believe y'all lost this game. So like I think the Warriors season was so frustrated because they were 46 and 30. It was 46 and 36, I believe. They literally could have won like 10 more games, 12 more, easy. Like I'm not even talking about like they had the battle to win. I mean, like they had the lead and they just gave it away. So I don't know. I think that's a frustrating. They still could have won with the same team. Like I'm not saying won a championship, but they could have definitely placed in a higher seed. So I don't think Steph is done with Drake, but the antics, I don't think that if he came back next year doing the same thing, Steph would be happy. Like I think he might call it. His personality seems more like chill, but I think he'd probably like call over like, yo, you gotta chill, man. Like you gotta chill. I'm 36 next year or 37 next year, so you gotta chill. Or whatever it is. I think he's like 37. So
it's a great point.
Yeah.
I had a question about, so this one is a more of a funny question, then I have a serious question after.
Sure.
The first one is when Steph and the Warriors show up at MSG, who are you rooting for?
To be completely honest, I root for Steph to do good. Whoever wins, I don't care. I just want Steph to play good. To be completely honest with you. I know it's like bizarre. I just want to see my boy do his work because I know I don't have that many years left from seeing Steph. So like, you know, so it really depends on like who needs to win more. Like the Golden State Warriors usually need to win more being in the West. Like the Knicks can make they can make the playoffs. They've made the playoffs with lesser teams and the Warriors have missed the playoffs. So like, but I'm more so concerned with Steph doing his thing. And then like, I'll be like, okay, like now with Brunson there, I like to see that one-on-one matchup. I like that. I like to see that a lot. So that's pretty cool.
And Hak, you got to understand that Steph is Jay's version of my ISO Joe.
Okay. It's like that.
It's that deep.
It's that deep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So then you must be really upset. This is not part of my second question, but you must be really upset when he was overlooked as a possible potential pick during that draft. I think the Knicks were up, right?
With the next pick. And I don't even know what to say because if he would have went to New York, man, oh my gosh, like if he can go one or two ways. It was like, who knows the beauty that this could have been, or who knows how bad they could have ruined them. I don't know. I'm not sure, only because of the way his career started. I don't know how they would, like, if he had the same exact career, I'm saying, like, same exact injuries, everything like that. I don't know if they would have just traded him or like threw him to the side, or would they have kind of like put the faith in him to still sign him to the long-term deal. I'm not sure, but oh man, to see that for 15 years at the Garden, that would have been crazy. That would have been
crazy. they would have handled it like the Knicks.
Yeah,
That's what
they
I
didn't
think
have
too.
a Mark Jackson.
That's true too, and that's the thing because they talked about that too. I don't know. I'm trying to think whose interview it was. I thought it was Clay. It was Clay on Draymond's. Yeah, it's Clay on Draymond's podcast. He was talking about that, and like he said that Mark Jackson gave them so much confidence. Like before they were the best back shooting duo, he kept telling them like, you guys can shoot the piss out the ball. Like you guys are the best. Like, so it's like. He said that he was like even though like Steve Kerr came and like changed some things around and then like it took off. He said like Mark Jackson, like that foundation, that growth, that came from Mark. Like he said he can give anybody confidence. Like it doesn't matter what you're good at, who you are. Mark Jackson instilled that confidence. It was like it's like no other. So that was pretty dope. So
and Mark Jackson is New York.
He is Mr. New York.
He's from New York.
Mr. New York.
So my other question on a more serious note is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, from like what I'm seeing with the Warriors as their semi-decline, call it for now. Steph is, like you mentioned, right? I'm 36. I don't got time for all this messing around. So if you kind of like listen about some of the stories that you hear about Steph, right? He is working on his body, working out before and after practices, and really like upping his game each year, each level. Whereas I feel like the rest of his teammates, the big three, I guess, right? Or the small three, Dre and Clay, aren't really following that pattern.
That's true.
And those two could be the reason why they're not able to keep up with him. And
That's
maybe
true.
he's getting frustrated, like, I'm putting in what I can. But you're not. So at what point, like, so you kind of like see the writing on the wall, like why the decline's happening.
Yeah.
And he's the one still carrying them to this day. So maybe it's time for them to kind of, follow suit and say, hey, you should like follow in his tracks, because if he's carrying us, like, we're here for the ride, but we still need to support this man to get this team where it needs to go.
That's true. I agree with that. I think that he's the and I hate that this season ended the way it did, because a lot of the podcasters and like the evaluations are now like, oh, Steph is out of that top 5, top 10 player in the league conversation because they see the decline in the numbers. And I think that a lot of people forget so many things that happened in the last 2 years, from Draymond eliminating Jordan Poole from the team last year. One of the most vicious punches you'll ever see to another person that you're supposed to like. That last year was wild, and they never really rebuilt from that. They just got rid of Jordan Poole. Like they didn't really retool the team too much. This year they essentially swapped Jordan Poole for Chris Paul, and they added Dario Saric, who was a slower big man who plays no defense. They never got a big man. So I think from a team standpoint, they stayed small, but they didn't get more athletic. JK got better, but they didn't really do anything to retool the team. So like Steph is still your guy, but like the type of team that they're playing, they have Steph as your guy and Clay is the number 2 shooter, but Clay is had an off year. So if you don't have Clay in that number 2, then like to your point, if Clay is not maintaining like I can keep up with Steph, then you have to make a change there, because that's like I think Clay is like, even that they made a conscious effort in the beginning of the year to get Clay these first open looks. Like if you notice, like when you watch Warrior games, Steph is not really the one that's like taking the initial shots. It's like Clay off a few pin downs, maybe Wiggs off a few pin downs, but not Steph. So it's like, I think Draymond's going to be fine, actually. Draymond doesn't look winded. He had a really good shooting year. I think Draymond's fine. I just think they just need to find. I would trade Wiggs, honestly. I would trade Wiggs. I love Wiggs too. It's not because I don't like him. I think that he was just too inconsistent in the year, like as far as like family absence and stuff like that. They just need like a whole team all the time. So I would trade Wiggs. I'd probably trade GP2. I mean GP2. I'd probably go CP, and and if somebody else, I don't know if I would. Moody's nice too, but they don't have enough space for him, it seems like. And I would just get more athleticism in a big man, and I would I would probably get another big man. I'd probably get another athletic wing, like not a Kuminga, because Kuminga is he should be a prodigy, but like somebody that's like a long athletic wing like that. And I would try to load up on a few shooters and maybe two 7-footers if you could, because it's obvious Drake can't play the 5. So wrapping it up into like the question that you asked me, I think Dre can still start and play the four. I think he's fine actually. If he just stays on the
Mm,
court, he's fine. Like the numbers with Draymond are really good. He's just not on the court.
mm,
Clay on the other side, I think he can start, but I'd really rather him come off the bench if I had a choice. Like I
mm,
would take Clay off the bench because I can see it's not really a decline of his shot. It's a decline of his decision making and his athleticism. Like he can't just
mm.
rise above everybody anymore. You can see that.
Right.
Steph could still get his shot off, but the thing is they're bottling Steph up. And people say, oh, Steph is getting, it's just a decline. It's not that. He has nobody to really pass it to on that initial, like, I'm going to get rid of the ball. Who else is going to really shoot the ball? Like, if Clay's struggling, you got JK, but he needs, like, he's not a catch and shoot person. He needs, like, a ISO situation. And Wiggs is supposed to be that other guy, but Wiggs is like, you don't know what type of Wiggs you're going to get. So, I would just retool that. But I think Dre is straight if he could just keep his mind in the game, man. Like,
Mm.
that's all he needs to do. Keep his mind in the game.
All I know is at the age of 36, this man's getting triple teamed. You're right. He ain't got no one to pass to, and they know it. So
I got a big y'all can have named Clint Capella because he got to go.
And you know what's funny though?
Y'all can
and
have
you know
him
what's
for
funny?
a bag of peanuts.
I don't know, man. The numbers are good though.
I was
The
about
numbers
to
are
say,
great.
we would love. I just want somebody that I think the Warriors led the league in rebounds this year, which I don't understand. But the
Mm.
offensive glass, we're such a small team. Like Trace Jackson Davis is like the biggest person. I think he's 6'9", and he's a rookie too. He's playing phenomenal, but he's a rookie. We grab boards by like a collective unit. But like, if you're playing Joker and Bede, we played Sabonis. He killed us on the glass. Like, we couldn't do nothing with Sabonis. We had no answer for Sabonis. I watched that game. I mean, he punished Trace. Like, they had to take Trace off the court. We couldn't play him.
Mm.
Looney had to come in, and we got Looney and like, Looney's out of shape this year. I'm like, what is going on here? We have no bigs. Like, that's just like half the picture. Like, I know we like to play like a lot of cuts and a lot of small ball, but we just had nobody to grab a board when we needed to. Like, I don't know. It's tough to watch.
Y'all need Wemby.
Oh my goodness, who doesn't?
A monster.
Some alternate universe we got Wimpy. I'd say it's a championship next year. It's a championship. That guy's probably going to be the defensive player of the year. Like, he's insane.
So, addition to something a little more personal.
Sure.
So I know. So Hak, we was it back in January, February? Back in the archives, y'all can find it if you're listening. We did an episode where we were reliving our 4 Mile stories.
Mm.
Remember in there, I sprinkled in a little Del State stuff, right?
Yes.
Wait till we get Jay on here one day. And because I don't think you understand what those Del State runs were like. So
intense.
I wanted to open it up to talk about some of those memories.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
Do it.
Hak, I don't know if you have a question or do you want me to open it up to Jay first?
No, so before you open up the runs, tell us like how y'all met, like what kind of started the runs, and then kind of like how it progressed to that.
That's a good question. I don't actually know. Ken, do you remember when we met? I don't remember if we met.
My earliest memory was at Jenkins Hall, because we were all on. So like, I started off on one wing where Just Money was.
Mm-hmm.
Getting Just Money, but I was on the same wing as Just Money, and then my boy Terrence, who by the way is gonna be going live with us on football a little bit for the draft next week. Nice. But my boy Terrence was on the other wing, and he had a guy next to him, Mike Mullins, who was from the DC area, whose roommate dropped out like within the first week. So I ended up moving over to that side. But somehow, I don't remember what happened, but you and Rizzo and them were down on the other wing. There was like three wings. And video game related. Down, and I was like, oh, that's Jay's room. And then like, I don't know how it kind of spawned. I don't remember exactly how it spawned from there, but it definitely started around video games first.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and then like we'd be in the common room and we'd be watching football and basketball and all kinds of stuff. So, and that was just like a whole rack of people.
I do remember the thing. I remember All right, so it's gonna sound funny. So the first thing I remember, Ken was white at a HBCU. I was like, what
The fuck, like, who let this guy in?
like, what the fuck is going on? That's the first
No,
thing. But
so,
then, go ahead.
wait,
Go
hold
ahead.
on, real quick. So, no lie, Hack, don't lie. He probably had about like 270 dudes in that dorm, and there's
Mm.
probably like what, 5 white guys.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
I remember Nick
Yeah,
Boots.
Nick Boots was one. I think he was a Delaware rapper. I didn't know
Uh-huh.
him or about him too much. All I know is did he make it to like the BET joint?
Yeah, he made
So
the Freestyle Fridays once.
Freestyle Friday, yep.
Um,
So yeah, I
I
do
only
remember
remember
him.
Nick Boots and me, but there's like 5 of us. Like it was,
Hmm.
Wow.
I was in the minority for the first time in my life. Like for real, for real. I was like, but I was chilling.
But he was chilling. Well, first of all, he was. Yeah, it was. I was like, he was a white guy, and I was like, who is that? That was fake. But then the second thing is, he was a white guy, and he had the nerve to be an Atlanta Hawks fan. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, what type of combination is this? What are y'all doing to me right now? But this guy is crazy. I remember if he had like an Atlanta Hawks hoodie or Atlanta Falcons hoodie. He had something that I remember he always used to wear. I was like, yo, this guy's really fucking wearing Atlanta memorabilia from a team. Both of their teams fucking suck. Like, what are you doing? And then
No
he was
change,
talking about
no
Joe
change.
Johnson. Exactly. Then he was talking about Joe Johnson, and that was it. That was like, okay, he knows his basketball. But Ken was like Ken was like me with the Knicks. Like he was like a hopeless fan because like he was to the point where it's like it was agitating. Ken was like, yeah, they're gonna win. It's like Ken, there's no like even when they play LeBron, it's like, yeah, and it's like Ken, stop. Like they have their chance. Like he's like, I don't know. When Joe Johnson gets hot, I'm like, shut up. Like they're not gonna do anything.
I'm glad you said that. 'Cause it's still going today.
I
Still
know
going
it
today.
does. It is. But you have to. I mean, Ken is loyal to a fault. Like if he rides with the team, he just rides. That's it. Like so, it's like a great quality to have. But yeah, I
Yeah.
remember. And then, like he said, he had a friend named Justin. We call him Just Money. He used to do the impersonations all the time when he's talking about like certain football guys, like Tiki Barber. And my boy Justin speaks with his hands, so he'd be like Tiki Barber like that. So
Is he?
that's
Who is he? What is it?
is he not a Hall of
who he
Famer,
thought
right?
he was?
Yeah.
Or is he a shell of his former self?
Yep. That was just money. That was just money. So like we would always talk about like sports. That's how I remember. And then we didn't even ball like the first 2 years because I remember the '04. I remember I seen Dexter in the gym and I seen Rizzo in the gym, but I didn't know them like that. I met Rizzo through playing Halo and I met Dexter. Like I met them playing ball, but I didn't really know who they were. I just seen them on the court. But I think maybe '06 is when we all started the ball together, I would say. Cause not even '05, but like '06 was like when we all started the ball. So, we have few friends. So, all right, I'll describe everybody to you. Rizzo, a little shorter than me. He says he's 5'8". He's not 5'8". He's gonna probably see this one day. Rizzo, you're not 5'8". So he's like
Wow.
he's 5'6" at best. I don't care what he says.
With shoes.
Um,
With shoes.
with shoes, yeah. Cause I'm 5'9". I'm 5'9". They'd say 3 3/4, but like he's shorter than me. So like I know you're not 5'8". It's no possible way. So, but he's quick as hell, and he has really good handles. Rizzo, but he just at that time he couldn't shoot. Now he can shoot his ass off, but that time he couldn't shoot. My boy Dex, he was like a left-handed Jordan. Like he emulated Jordan's game to a T. So he always had to fade away, had a little in and out. He would bop you a little bit, come with the cross like that. That was Dexter. My boy Sean Skinner, he didn't really dribble a lot, but he had a decent shot. He had a decent shot. My boy Aaron had his mid range is crazy. Aaron's mid range is crazy. I don't know if you got to play with Aaron a lot, Ken, but
Not a lot.
yeah, Aaron's actually from think he's from the Bronx or Harlem, either one. But yeah, he's from New York too. And he had a crazy mid range. Like I played 1-on-1 with him. We was outside and he was pretty much like, if you miss and he got the ball, okay, you gotta get at least 5 or 6 in your face because he's hitting everything. We we had some battles, and then there was somebody else I'm missing, but we used to play.
Did you describe Dex?
I did describe Dex, yeah. He's the left-handed Jordan.
Left-handed Jordan, bro. My favorite, the ones that I can pull from the front of my memory, is when we'd run twos, and it was always me and Dex against Jay and Skinner, Skinner, and we called him Skinny because like I'd just body him in the post, like he had no chance.
He had no chance. Had no chance. And if we switched, he just wasn't gonna do nothing with Dex neither. So I said I might as well stay out here and move around with Dex because like what it was a mismatch. It was definitely a mismatch. I don't even know how I drew the Skinner card. That was my boy. I had to ride with him, but I knew we had no.
You drew the Skinner card every time, and that was also the genesis of my Xbox handle, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because sometimes I get bored of just bodying him in the paint, and I would just step back and hit.
What do they call the Chem bombs?
Ken bomb. So I'm glad you transitioned. I had a question about like this guy because when I met him, we like he had his game, whatever, like, but we kind of helped him evolve to a different, maybe another, added more skill sets to what he came with.
I agree. I agree with that. I could see that.
He became more of like a very powerful post player, and he could also do the Ken bombs. So when he was in college, what was his style? Like, what was your experience of watching him hoop and his style of play?
So I was just telling Ken too, like for me, like when I was in college, I have a way better handle now than I did before. Like I could dribble a little bit. I think around 07, 08 I was starting to get a little handle, but like after college, I got a lot better because I think I just played a little bit more, but, I could always shoot though. So like in college, it was like Dex set it, Sean set a pick. I'm coming off the pick. I'm knocking that down like a lot, but I wasn't creating it myself most of the time. I would do it. But like it wasn't as fluid as it is now. I think Ken, he could always shoot, but I think more like he relied on the size more. But like I think he could always shoot though. Ken can always shoot. But he wasn't dribbling a lot. Like Ken would back you down, but he wasn't facing you up, take you off the dribble. So you probably like after like when you met him, that's probably when that developed, and then probably he got like. He got more polish with that. No,
I basically played this because I didn't play. So after 2008, after I left Dell State, I really didn't play again until 2010 when him and I really started picking up. So I had like a 2-year hiatus, and I kind of, but we really just kind of polished. I think the same style was like an inside out. Like I can take you in the post if you're bigger than me. Or if you're smaller than me, and if you're bigger than me, I can just pull out because they never thought I could shoot. This big
nobody thought he could shoot. Nah,
I was like a chubby joker out there.
I know. Ken and I we worked on like a lot of footwork and kind of like those basic fundamentals you don't really pick up in college like that. You just kind of hooping. So like, and he would tell me like, bro, I would just come around that pick and roll, that screen, the high screen, and let it go.
He could shoot. He could shoot. It was surprising too, because at first it's like, okay, he can't, but then he would hit a few. It was like, okay, well, what are you gonna do with him?
Okay.
What are you gonna do with him? So yeah, he can shoot. He can shoot though. He can shoot. He just like I could say the only thing that you could do, like let's say if he couldn't back you down, he wasn't really gonna dribble around you. So like, okay, you had a chance there, but other than that, it's like he was able to shoot. He probably wasn't going to go after too many boards. If the board came to him, he'd grab it. Other than that, he's like, nah, you got that. So, but other than that, but he was doing his thing though. He could pass too. He had the eye to pass.
So. Yeah, absolutely. That I know. Solid. That chemistry I know real well.
Yeah, Ken was solid. He'll hit you, especially if you're going to cut. Yeah.
We used to just say GG. Hak and I would just say GG to each other to do a give and go. Just boom.
Nice.
Or Hak would have the one where he would shoot it like pass it. It looked like a shot, So everybody would stop because they're like waiting for where it's going to hit, and it would fall right into my hands.
Oh,
and
nice.
I had position under, and like, yeah, as the Hak and Ken play.
Special.
Hey, you know what's funny? Like now, when I go back to Formal, sometimes like people actually started calling it that, the Hak and Ken play.
Really?
It's crazy. Yeah.
One of my most fun favorite memories. There was a night that I don't know how we got into the Del State gym, but we got in the Del State gym and we were balling. We had like a crew that night. It wasn't just the four of us because there was.
Yeah.
I think we at least had 6 to 8.
Yeah.
And we were in the Del State gym and we were just balling until finally a janitor kicked us out, I think, at like 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I remember it more and more as you talk about it now. I do remember because I think we cut the light. I think we actually cut the lights on. I think there was no lights. We cut them on, and then we got kicked out. Yeah, I remember that now that you say that again. Yep, it was. That was
we
crazy.
had already played like a good 2.5, 3 hours at that point, and we got kicked out. And everybody's like, "All right, well, let's go get some food." And I think it was me and there might have been one other person that had a car. At the time, so we went up.
Yeah, you and Rizzo selected everybody.
Got food. Yeah, we just packed in the 2 cars, went up, got some food, came back, and then we balled outside till like 6 a.m. I mean, like it was probably one of the we had a similar night like that once at not one of the 2 normal courts, but that one up on George Mason. Where we balled for like 7-8 hours straight.
Yeah,
we had a similar type of night. But that was one of mine because I was like, that was crazy because we were dead. I mean, we were by the end of it, we were just dead. Everybody was tired, but we had some epic games that night.
The games was so fun. Yeah, Del State it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I mean, there was a ton of competition on campus, but like we just played with our friends for the most part, less, just like running. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun, especially on the courts with the cage nets, like the chain nets. Excuse me, chain nets.
Oh, those chain nets, man! The Ken bomb sounded beautiful on the chain nets.
Yeah, that's what you heard.
And then Skinny would be like, "Fuck."
Yeah, exactly. Sean Skinner, man.
Those were just the basketball because. As competitive as we were in basketball, nothing will ever beat the competitive Uno nights.
Uno? Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah, Uno was crazy. It made no sense from a card game that's pretty much the most random card game you can find. It's probably zero skill involved, but it got heated like we knew exactly. Like it was crazy. I mean, it was probably about to be fistfights over Uno, and like there's nothing you could do about it. Like if somebody just drops draw 4 on you, there's literally just the randomization of the cards in your hand, but you don't care. You don't care. I lived and died by Uno, man. I lived and died by that and Monopoly. Wow. That and Monopoly, man. I love Monopoly. And
we would play the stacks, so you get around and everybody had like multiple draw 2s and draw 4s. Get to the end, somebody has to draw 20 to just grab the cards.
Yep. Just toss them.
Just toss them like this.
And that's it. That's it.
Hak, you got any more Ken Del State ball questions?
Not Ken balls. I do have ball question though from back in New York. I know you talked about Rucker. Have you had a chance to go to the Rucker and kind of see runs and kind of what the environment's like?
I wish. I never went.
Okay.
Never got to go.
Because I know. You remember when Kobe went after he went and he came out to the Rucker? Yep. Were you in New York around that time? Like, was there like a buzz in the city about that?
I want to say, wasn't that 01? I want to say that was 0. Was it 01?
I think it's after the 3-peat.
Oh, it was after the 3-peat.
He may have came out there.
So if it was after the 3-peat, because I went to Del State 04, so maybe it was 04. Okay. I don't remember. But yeah, no, I never got to go. I never really got to. I didn't travel a lot. Like when I was in Brooklyn, so my family moved a lot. So I had my dad's house was the house I described to you guys. After my parents split, he stayed there, so that was like my hub. But that wasn't really my main place. My main place was with my mom. So like I always had my dad's house and he never moved, but my mom always moved. So like she wasn't really too keen of me like going to different places myself. Cause like back in the time it was like, it was just me, like, it would be just me riding the subway. She was like, nah, I'm not having that. So I wasn't really going that far. So like the Rutgers, like kind of like a good train. It's a good couple of train rides different. So the furthest I would go to, like I went to Coney Island, but like I didn't go to like the courts, like where like Starberry and Sebastian Telfair from. I just like went to Coney Island, like the amusement park. But the most I would do is just go to like different parks in Brooklyn just to check out some runs. That's about it. I didn't really go to like the famous, like I didn't go to like West Fourth or Rucker or anything like that. I've still never been to Rucker or West Fourth, honestly, to tell you the truth. I always wanted to do it and I probably still will one day, but I never ventured out and got on the court or even like took a look at it though.
Okay. Yeah, I remember like when that Jay-Z Fat Joe game was gonna happen and that big like hoopla with, Braun. And it never really came to fruition. But I had moved out of that area, but I was like, man, I'm not in that area no more. I wonder what the scene's like out there. So that's why.
Now that's a good question. It's so funny because I just seen a YouTube, like a little short on that, like I think it was called like the game that never happened, and like how the build up was for that. And I remember that too. I remember a lot of that because like Fat Joe was like, yeah, I never lost. So,
right.
And he had his belt. And that's just kind of funny because I forgot all about that. And I was like, yeah, I remember that. Like, I remember that. Like, I remember that time where like the Rucker was just like the thing. And I used to watch like the EBC. It's like I think it was called the Entertainers Basketball Classic. I used to watch that like every summer. Like, they used to have everybody in there. Like, I remember that because that was around the time that, it was right around the time that AM1 was popular too. Like that was like when they started doing their open runs. I think the Rucker was like either the 2 years before, the 2 years after. Like I remember watching those times when like KD went to the Rucker too. I remember all of that. So like I remember that. I think he played Beasley in the Rucker. So I think they played each other they were both in the Rucker too. Yeah. So
I believe so.
So
I remember Hot Sauce coming down to Del State and cooking people.
Me and Rizzo talk about that. Yeah, me and Rizzo brought that up too, and it's funny because we were talking like we wish we had footage, but so the guy that we talk about, Rizzo, his handle is really good, and we were talking about how it feels to guard people like that are really shifty. And I was asking him like, how did Hot Sauce? Like he was like, yeah, that was because Rizzo he's really quick laterally, so he has really good defense. But everybody can be shifted. And I was like, how did that feel? He's like, yeah, that kind of felt crazy. He said he guarded Silk. I don't remember if he said anybody really caught him bad or they were not trying to, but the one person he said that was crazy was Bone Collector. Bone Collector, I don't care who you are, I don't care what type of breaks you got. Don't matter. That guy's shifting you.
Don't matter.
That guy is shifting you. Bone Collector is, because like Hot Sauce, he's more like tricky, but Bone Collector, he does everything. It's pretty much legal. Everything he does is pretty much legal. Like he doesn't really carry like that. It's like, it's kind of like stop and go, like crazy hezzies, but it's quick. So Bone Collector, he is. I think Rizzo said that he had him like not leaning, but like off balance a little bit is a better word. I had a funny experience. I was on the first cruise. I went on a cruise in 2018, and they had this 3-on-3 tournament, and I just ended with this random guy. That's when I was like still playing a little bit, and I ended with this random team. I didn't know who these people was. I had a couple baskets, so I did my thing. But I remember there was this guy with this crazy handle. And I thought, because like, no, I don't really like get cross like that. I could stay with my man. But for some reason, this guy was like moving me a lot. And I'm like, is he moving me like because he's this nice or because we're on a boat? Because I can't tell, but. But he was shifting me. I'm like, yo, like what's going on? I felt like kind of all balanced. And I'm like, that's not, I've played against Rizzo. I've played against people with like nice and handle. Like, I don't understand, but I remember feeling weird playing this guy, but he was nice though. That guy was, I don't know who this guy was on the boat, but he was nice though. He was nice.
Well, speaking of shifting, this has been an awesome conversation. And we're probably going to have to split this into two parts.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and do a transition out. hopefully everybody will tune in for part 2. And I'll remind you all to like, subscribe, follow everywhere. Tell a friend. Jay from BK, tell his friends. Go give us a follow, shout out, subscribe. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Until next episode, peace.
At Think RBA. Peace.
Later.